This video is going to cover how the controls work for a program in TheraPieces. The controls are what a therapist will see when collecting data. And so we want to cover, so quickly navigate to our test. We created a test program. This is where we'll be experimenting. Um, and so control, this is what a therapist will see on the data sheet on how you would like the data to be collected. When you create an account with TheraPieces, you will get 7 keys out of the box. We'll cover each one of those and understand how each one of them is scored. The ABA key is the most commonly used key in TheraPieces, and it's the usual plus minus prompt and approximation. So we'll go ahead and select that one, click done, and you can see that when you click on the drop down, it's those 4 options. A plus is scored at 100. The minus, prompt, and approximation are scored at 0%. The unique thing about ABA key is that it will not score until all of the trials are run. So for example, for target 1, we said that there are 5 trials that the therapist must run. Only when 5 trials have been completed will a score be calculated over here. If only 4 trials are run, a score will not be calculated. So if we quickly go to collect data, acknowledge the notes. Data sheet starts client schedule, and here's an example. So if I'm going to start collecting data, as you can see, there's no score yet. Only when I get to the last one will it calculate the score, and there we go, 80%, and it is reflected immediately into the graph at 80%. Back to admin view. The next key we want to talk about is a checkbox. A checkbox is a simple yes or no, and this does not wait for all of the trials to be run. The moment you click on a checkbox, it starts calculating score. So it will take 5 trials, and if you have one checkbox, it will give us percentage of 20%, and so on. This is a very simple key to use when you're just trying to collect data about whether something was accomplished or not accomplished. Uh, so let's look at how that data collection looks like for that one. We should have a checkbox right here. If I click on that, you can see 25% because there's 4 trials. And as I select more, you'll get more score. Next key we want to cover is going to be the spontaneous over prompt. Spontaneous over prompt is a key that basically gives you this kind of control. You can keep track of how many, as you're giving your client opportunities, you want to kind of record how many of the opportunities did the client respond spontaneously, or did you have to prompt them. So as you increase the number over here, it will start calculating the score based on number of spontaneous opportunities versus opportunities that you have to prompt. So if I go to collect data on this one, you can see here's spontaneous over prompt. So if I collect, say, I gave one opportunity and they did well, didn't have to prompt them, then a score of 100% is calculated. Say I gave another opportunity and I had to prompt them, this is 50% score at this point because one was spontaneous and one was prompt. If I open up the graph, the unique thing about spontaneous and prompt is, first of all, you'll get your percentage, but you have the option to also see the data points. So you can actually see how many opportunities were prompt and how many opportunities were spontaneous result. Next, we're going to cover the, similar to spontaneous and prompt, there is a key called opportunity over correct. The difference between this one is it maintains a total of opportunities. So in spontaneous and prompt, the number of opportunities was the cumulative of the two numbers. In this control over here, the opportunities represents the total number of opportunities they've received and how many of those did they get correct. In the case where you don't want to measure it spontaneous over prompt and whether it's just correct and not correct. So let's look at how that is, how the data for that one is taken. So right here, so let's say I gave the client an opportunity for blue and they got it wrong. Then I will go ahead and increment one opportunity. So now they have 0%, one opportunity, and then they didn't get any of them right. If I give them another opportunity and they do get it right, at this point I'm going to hit a plus on correct, and you will notice that opportunities also went up. So every time you increment correct, both of them go up. When you increment opportunities, only opportunities will go up, and that's how you're going to calculate your total opportunities. And so the score is calculated based on number of opportunities divided by number of correct over number of opportunities given, and times 100. And so similar to spontaneous over prompt, you can see that there's a score given, and then you can also see what the data points were, how many opportunities were correct, uh, and how many of them were basically how many total opportunities were received. Next, we're going to cover frequency. Frequency is just a running number. It's a counter. So as you as you as some if you're counting something, then you just keep on hitting plus and minus depending on what your opportunities you're giving. And frequency does not calculate a percentage because there's nothing to compare against. So it's just a running number that is graphed on, and um, then so this one there's no score involved other than just the number that you'll see over here. Next control is going to be notes. Notes is something that if you just want the therapist to write a note for this program, then they can come in here and type a whole long note. Every program does have a note section anyway, so if you would use this only if you want them to, if the way to measure this is with an elaborate note, then you would use that. Otherwise, they can always add a note per program regardless of what control it is. So that is a very rarely used control, because especially with this note section being available as well. um, and the last control that we have that comes out of the box is going to be a text box. A text box is similar to a note, except that it's much smaller. So it's very tiny, and it's usually if you want to record any free form responses, then this is very good to use as well. Notes and text boxes are not graphed. There's no score associated with it or any numeric value that can be put on a graph. So these two those two controls are not scored. Now we mentioned about ABA key, where it will calculate a score only when all trials have been finished. If you do not like how that works, then you are always welcome to come to my controls and create your custom control over here. So I could create a custom control, let's say ABA key for 1, 2, 3, go. And I could say the same four options. Plus is 100%, minus is a 0%, P is a 0%, and A is also a 0%. Now I could leave it this way and it will work exactly like the ABA key provided by TheraPieces out of the box. Or you can change it and say, for this one, I want to allow partial credit. And what that means is even if one trial is run, the percentage score is calculated for that. And I can hit done. And there you go, it shows up over there. And when I go into program guide templates, and you will see that there is an ABA key for 1, 2, 3, go. So this is, now you have full control over this. You can make it prompting, fading prompt if you'd like, add other options, get rid of some options, change the scoring, so that key is going to be in your control. And that is all for this video. Thank you so much.